Parker M. Pont, 16, passed away tragically on May 21st, 2019, due to a drinking and driving car accident. Parker was born in Bangor and he was attending school at Dexter Regional High School. Parker was recently inducted into the National Honor Society. He played the bass guitar in the high school band. He was an amazing young man and active member of the Key Club and student government. Parker was a joy to be around. He was smart, kind, funny, and loving. He touched so many lives in his short time here with us. He was a friend to all and will be deeply missed. Christy was a 2002 graduate of Dexter Regional High School, a 2006 graduate of the University of Maine at Farmington, where she received her bachelor's degree in secondary education. Christy has been a teacher and field hockey coach for the past 13 years. She will be remembered for her caring ways, dedication to her students, family and friends, as well as her independence and strong drive for equality. Molly was an honor roll student at Dexter Regional High School, where she was an active member of the student government, Key Club, chorus, theater, goalie on the field hockey team, varsity 120 weight class for the wrestling team, and participated in track. She volunteered at the Guilford, Monson, and Abbott Historical Societies, as well as with the town of Guilford as part of the cleanup crew. Molly was best known for her love of books and the joy of reading, writing, and drawing. Molly is survived by her mother and stepfather, Rebecca and Douglas Viles II of St. Albans, her father, Adam Bennett of Holton, her brother, Eric Bennett of St. Albans. Services will be held on May 22, 2019 at Dexter Regional High School. In lieu of flowers, memorial donations may be given to Dexter Regional High School field hockey, wrestling team, and/or library.
Right now we have 4 right now. Alert. No, I don't think so.
Get the ambulance on the way, okay, guys? Just hang out real quick. They have a pulse.
They got that one in here.
Okay. Okay.
We're not gonna move the report.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
Hold on.
I have 4 with injuries.
No pulse. There's no pulse.
No pulse. Oh, she's dead? Yeah, we got, where's this one? He said no pulse. We got men in the car.
The left. Go grab the AED.
Hey, disregard. Disregard, EMS is here.
Yep.
Right here.
No calls this point, if that's in the driver at this point.
Anybody check on these guys?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still
Shut up
close
over
to the
here.
bridge.
Where you hurt?
Where you hurt?
Okay, guys. Andy. Over here. No bolts.
No bolts on that one?
No bolts. We need to- Chris.
Mike, right here. We got 3 in this car. 3 in here.
We're gonna be walking the doors over.
Hey, Ruth here. Ruth here. Is that for this one? Sure. As soon as you get that door open, you got to. Okay. You got a board ready to go. I guess this one's going in 6. I'm taking it.
I don't know.
What's that?
Look at that. All right.
Way to get him out.
You want to cover that with something? Holding.
Place your feet together, heel to heel, toe to toe, arms to your side. Just want to make sure that you were okay to drive and that you weren't impaired, okay? Can you see the tip of my pen here? I want you to keep your head still and follow the very tip of the pen with your eyes only. Do you understand that? Okay, just keep your head right still for me. Yeah, keep your head still. A little bit slower, same thing.
Stretch it.
Well,
we'll get her inside and then slide her onto the bench. And then whichever one the next one is going to go.
I got one ready.
I'll put her in with the Dexter.
They've already got the
One, two, three, etc. all the way to 9. Once you get to your 9th step, you're going to pivot with your lead foot, take a series of short tuck steps to the opposite foot, turn yourself 180 degrees, and you turn 9 more hips close like that. Keep your arms down to your side, and then you keep cutting yourself out. Your hips good. 1, 2, 3, pivot all the way to 9. You understand that? Okay, whenever you're ready, begin.
Yeah, but we're gonna do it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. We're going to bring the stretcher over.
well, we need to convert you, so that's why he brought me in. Yeah, Key Club was an amazing part of high school for I think both Katie and I. We had some really awesome opportunities to not only help other people, but to grow ourselves and to help ourselves. So I think it's kind of like, it's like a little selfish, because sometimes you feel good when you help other people, and you end up helping yourself. So I think that's kind of what I got the most out of Key Club, and that kind of carried into my career. So I'm a social worker, and basically I help people all day, every day, or at least that's the hope.
For me, I didn't realize like how many people I would meet like all over the country that we still keep in contact with, how many opportunities I would, get from being involved in this club. And I tried to carry it over into college. I did like Habitat for Humanity or like other community service projects, and it's just not the same.
I don't know how you guys are feeling right now. Tomorrow's probably not going to be better, because I'm just going to be honest with you. So we did this 10 years ago, which is insane. And for me, so I didn't participate in, I didn't get taken out of class. I wasn't in the accident or anything like that, because I just happened to have a pretty real and true connection. So when my sister was 17, a week before her high school graduation, she got in a car accident and she died. So I obviously didn't participate in this part of what you guys are doing, because that would have been awful for my parents.
What do you remember?
I remember panic. I was quite young, so I think I really didn't understand completely what was going on. And my sister did not die as a result of drunk driving, but she did die as a result of distracted driving, which is a very real issue in today's society, maybe even more so than drunk driving because of texting. So again, it's just another thing, like that could be you, so just have a plan, whether it is texting or if you have a drink, that's not the end of the world, but always have a plan for how you're gonna get home, because this could be you. It could be your friend, it could be your sibling. Like, we are not so far removed from things like this that they don't happen to us. And I know that sometimes it's really easy to think like, that's not gonna happen to me. But I'm living proof, and I'm sure that there are people among you that feel the exact same way, that have the same life experience or similar life experience that I do. So like Mr. Whitney said, I think it's great that you guys are doing this program again. It needs to happen. It is a rough couple of days. So I would just say, like, take care of yourselves. Tonight's probably gonna be pretty intense. And my advice would be, just be as honest with yourself as you can be. Again, I hope that you guys never have to deal with anything like this. That's the hope of doing this program. But it happens all the time, and it happens to people that you know in your town, in your high school.
And I really feel like you guys did have an impact today. It was being talked about. I really feel like some of the students who have had life events, it's kind of opened their door a little bit.
You're going to have some of your friends who may not take this very seriously. They may laugh it off. They may, poo-poo it. And I said, but you have power in you, because you've been through this. You understand it. You can make this real to them if you want to.
And like Katie's saying, like everyone is saying here, just when you're writing your letters today, just be honest. And being vulnerable with people most of the time allows other people to be vulnerable with you.
Good morning. On behalf of Cameron and Lilah's family, I want to thank you for coming out this morning as we celebrate the lives and mourn the sudden deaths of two very loved people in our communities and school. I'm just going to read both of the obituaries for Lilah and Cameron at this time. Lilah Jane McCormick of Dexter, Maine, died unexpectedly on May 21st, 2019. Lilah was a sophomore at Dexter Regional High School. She was president of the Key Club, attended Seeds in 2018, and was selected for her second summer at Seeds. Lilah was a member of the National Honor Society and was awarded the Alphonse Scholarship, in which she was going to India in June with the CIEE program. She was active in the drama program at DRHS and performed in many performances throughout the years. Lilah was an avid field hockey player and also enjoyed playing tennis, skateboarding, and hiking. Lilah stood out in a crowd. She was a light where there was darkness. She was a role model to all who knew her. She had the ability to be non-judgmental and be an example of unconditional love. Her heart was huge. Lilah was an animal lover, a dedicated vegan. Lilah possessed a strength and leadership rarely seen in someone her age. Her loss to friends and family will remain a painful one. She was so special. Lilah is survived by her parents, Jennifer McGuire and Jeremy McCormick, her sister Lily, and 5 brothers Grant, Todd, Taylor, Corey, and Kevin.
Lilah was my very first friend I ever made in school. On the first day in kindergarten, when I walked into the classroom, she was crying because she hadn't made any friends yet. I had told her that we could be friends, and ever since then, we've had a very close friendship. Growing up, I was over at her house almost every weekend. Her house was my second home. From making forts, riding bikes, and walking her dogs, one thing that stands out in my memory is us making up choreography to the song Barbie Girl. We would make up choreography all day, and when my mom would come to pick me up, we would set up chairs so her parents and mine could sit as an audience and watch us perform. She was always there for me whenever I needed someone to talk to, or if I needed a place to go. We've gone on so many adventures together, from car trips, spending sprees, and spent a lot of our time playing field hockey together throughout the years. She had such a strong, positive attitude. She was very active in Kitty Club and tried to help out wherever she could. Lilah was also very outspoken. She was independent and strong-willed too. From her goofy jokes to the weird things that she did, she always wanted to make others happy. As a result of a careless decision to drink and drive, I lost a best friend. I lost someone that I would call my sister. Lilah was a very unique person overall, and losing her, as well as Cameron, has left a missing piece in the hearts of their friends, family, and community. Both will be missed greatly.
For Cameron Vefiatis, 15, died unexpectedly in a tragic car accident May 21st, 2019. Cameron was born on January 13th, 2004, the son of Sarah, Merrill, and Brandon Vefiatis. He attended Dexter Regional High School and was very involved in school clubs, such as Positive Action, Student Council, and was vice president of his class. There was also one special club where Cameron gave most of his time, and that is Key Club. Cameron would often spend time doing community service for the club. When he wasn't busy with Key Club, Cameron enjoyed spending time with his family and friends, boat rides on Lake Wassakeg, and traveling. Cameron's best quality was making everyone around him laugh and have fun. Cameron was a beloved son, grandson, brother, cousin, nephew, and friend. He is survived by his parents, Sarah and Brandon Vefiatis, his 2 sisters, Brianna and Alexandra Vefiatis, his paternal grandparents, Susan and Nicholas Vefiatis, his maternal grandmother, Kathy Chambers, and husband, Craig Chambers, his maternal grandfather, Jeffrey Merrill, and wife, Gail Merrill, and also many cousins and many friends who were all dear to his heart.
Death. It is a 5-letter word. A 5-letter word that intertwines itself into our everyday, because every day that we live, death follows. I know this as well as the next person, and with each person I lose, I learn a new aspect to the meaning of that 5-letter word. Most people spend the majority of their lives contemplating the meaning of life. I have come to the conclusion that the meaning of death is equally as important. Most people view death as the opposite of life, but I view them as partners. Life is defined by the choices you make, and death brings the remembrance of those choices. Since I have been in the school system, our school community alone has lost 11 people. 11 amazing and beautiful people. Yesterday we lost 2 more. To the people here today who view this experience as a joke, I say to you, I lost my cousin yesterday. As I sat in that car and watched Cameron being pulled, I lost my cousin. Speaking here today is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my 18 years of living. It is an impossible task to sum up Cameron. He was such an amazing human being. Everything from his weird quirks, such as his random bursts of song and endless jokes, to his never-ending dream to help others. He accomplished so many things during his short time here. His actions have touched so many people. He was an incredible son, brother, cousin, grandson, leader, friend, and so many more things. No one could ever replace him. I'm at a lack of words because no amount of words could say accurately who he was as a person. So I will end this for the fear that if I do not stop talking now, I will never stop talking, with the hopes that if I don't, it will in some ways bring him back to life. Cameron would not want us to dwell on the dark 5-letter word that took him, but rather celebrate his life, learn from his experience, and build a better future for those of us. Thank you for being here. I know it would mean a lot to him.
The truth is that each of us in turn will meet death. We are not given the choice whether or not we're going to meet death, or even when, only that we will. So how can we prepare to meet death? How can we face such a time as this? I look to God in my faith, and there's a poem that I'm going to read now that expresses this answer better than I could, and so I would like to share it with you. The poem is called When Sorrow Comes by the American poet Edgar Guest. When sorrow comes, as come it must, in God man must put his trust. There is no power in mortal speech the anguish of our souls to reach. No voice, however, sweet and low, can comfort or ease the blow. We cannot from our fellow man take strength that will sustain us then, with all that kindly hands would do, and all that love would offer too. We must believe throughout the test that God has willed it for our best. We who would be his friends prove dumb, words from our lips but feebly come. We feel, as we extend our hands, that one power only understands and truly knows the reason why so beautiful a soul must die. We realize how helpless then are all the gifts of mortal man. No words which we have the power to say can take the sting of grief away. The power which marks a sparrow's fall must comfort and sustain us all. When sorrow comes, as come it must, in God and man must place his trust. With all the wealth which he may own, he cannot meet the test alone, and only he may stand serene who has a faith on which to lean. I'd like to close our time with a prayer of comfort and a benediction. Father, we gather here in this solemn place to remember the life and mourn the death of Lilah McCormick and Cameron Vifiatis. We ask that you would comfort each family member and friend through this difficult tragedy. May they be encouraged through happy memories and purpose in their heart to seek you while you may be found. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord may his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
That concludes the funeral portion of the every 15-night event. At this time, I would like to bring Lilah and Cameron back, along with Ashley Downey. Would they come in? Nikki, would you bring them? And I think they deserve a round of applause. These three had the hardest part of the whole event. Very brave of them to do it. Last night we were at a retreat with all the living dead and the actors in the accident. And we shared a lot last night. I wish all of you could have been there. It was very, very, very deep, and it was wonderful. At this time, I'd also like to call up all the living dead, the road raper, the injured. This event has taken months of planning since September. I'd like to thank the administration, student body, and the teachers and staff for helping with this and supporting it. It's really a lot of work. There's hundreds of hours probably involved with this, with everybody that's been involved, and it's not an easy thing to put on, but I think it's gone very well. I'm now going to excuse you all and send you back with your classmates and your staff. You can go sit amongst the students. Thank you. This is the best part of it, when you get to go back and they're all alive again.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody for their attention today and the invite. It's a little weird being back here after so long, 25-year hiatus, running into people that I know. When I called Robin this morning, she reminded me that she took care of me when I was a baby, at which point I immediately apologized for everything that I ever did to her. Mr. Whitney, everybody else, thank you for inviting me. When Mr. Whitney asked me to come down here today to speak to all of you about the dangers of distracted driving, I took it seriously. There have been so many incidents throughout the years, again, this being my 26th year in law enforcement. I wasn't always a cop. I roamed these hallways. I was probably a marginal student at best, played on the athletic fields, that was more of my focus. I enjoyed shop class, that was great. The sciences, history, Mr. Whitney. But again, the other classes were just a means to an end. I wish I'd paid more attention in typing class. That would have saved me a lot of headaches in college. There were no cell phones back then, no internet. You talked face to face with people. If I wanted to see someone, you went to their house. You met them downtown at one of the mini pizza shops. We had like 5. There were a bunch of sandwich stores back then, but I lived way out on the Dexter road, so any trip into town was a 4-mile ride to see friends. To say the least, we were a little less distracted back in the 80s. You just witnessed a funeral. While it seemed very real, I want to share with you one of the incidents that I've responded to in my career. I picked this one because I see this one in my dreams. I am reminded of it by sights, sounds, smells. This one has stolen a lot of sleep from me, and it's stolen a lot more than some of the things that I've dealt with in my career. The newspaper article read like this: 2 Vassalboro men died in a 2-vehicle crash Monday afternoon on Riverside Drive. I'm withholding the last names. Ken, 63 of the Bog Road, was driving north in a maroon 2007 Chevy Silverado. When he crossed the center line, colliding head-on with a white Dodge Ram driven by Sean, 32. According to a news release from Kennebec County Sheriff Randall Liberty, Sean suffered massive abdominal trauma, according to the release, and was pronounced dead at the scene after attempts to resuscitate him failed. Ken also suffered extensive abdominal trauma, a significant leg injury, leg wound. Ken was pinned in the vehicle, requiring Vassalboro Fire Department and Augusta Fire Department to free him using extraction equipment. He was treated at the scene, taken to Maine General Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead at 4:26 p.m. The accident occurred shortly before 3. The road, also called U.S. Route 201, was closed until 6 p.m. It was actually closer to 7. It's the press. When one lane was reopened. The accident occurred about 3 miles north of Augusta City Center. There was so much debris up here, said Ryan Reardon, Chief Deputy of the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office. Investigators took tire measurements and gathered information at the scene. The accident is being investigated and reconstructed. The Kennebec County Sheriff's Office, the initial investigation, did not reveal speed or alcohol as factors, according to the news release. It does indicate that Ken drifted into Sean's lane. My torment started at this moment. It was the summer of 2013, August. Despite the public's greatly jaded view of police officers, we are human. The incident was a distracted driving event, and I'm going to tell you what I experienced at the scene. It was a hot day. It was in the 80s. I was on Hospital Street in Augusta, coming back from the crime lab. I'd heard a call over the radio. I arrived on scene, grabbed my Stetson, I fastened it to my head, and I put on my traffic vest as I walked the 100 or so yards to the crash scene. I encountered several of my employees, Jeremy Day, Mike Pion, Frank Hatch. I spoke to Sergeant Hatch and gave him a quick description, and he gave me a quick description of what was going on. There were 2 pickups in the roadway. A white Dodge was much distorted. There was a maroon truck, possibly a GM product, that was a group of firefighters were assembled around and working feverishly. There was a group of fire trucks that were arriving, ambulances, cruisers. Vehicles stopped in the roadway that contained witnesses. There were vehicle fluids, debris, vehicle parts, and other things scattered in the road. From this very point in my life, I lost almost 18 months of sleep. My world had changed. I had seen probably worse things, awful tolls of human wreckage. This was something different. I walked past the white Dodge to assess the scene with Sergeant Hatch. There was a distorted human in the driver's seat of the white pickup. The steering wheel had impaled his chest, and his limbs, the ones that I could see, were broken and bent in places that didn't have joints. Someone had tried to cover him to conceal his body. The blanket had slipped off and was hanging partially out of the truck door that had been forced open. It occurred to me that I could hear people's voices pleading with a man to stay with them. I had not made it around the turn of the Augusta fire truck at that point. Again, the scene was covered in debris. The smell of hot engine oil, warm coolant was fresh in the air. Airbags, when they deploy, give off a certain smell. There was a powder in them to let them inflate at high speed. I could smell that odor in the air. I could also smell the odor of human death. Humans, when dead, immediately start to decay. It was a hot day, and that process had started immediately with the driver of the white truck. I called the sheriff at that point and advised him of what was going on at the scene. He arrived a short time later. Sheriff Liberty was the kind of person that took some of the burden from his officers. He made it his job to tell the families about their loved ones. He called it the burden of leadership. He arrived on scene, and I prepared a lot of information for him and addresses that I got while I talked to Sergeant Hatch. At this time, we walked towards a maroon pickup, and what was left of it, firefighters were working to cut the driver out of it. He was a heavy-set man, graying hair, jowls hung from his cheeks, and he's wearing a gray-colored t-shirt. This man was pinned in the truck by his lower body. From about the stomach down, he was crushed by the accident damage. The 2 trucks had met on the road going in opposite directions. The vehicle that the man was in was now facing south as it was headed north. EMS was attempting to cut as much away from the truck as possible to get the driver free. His name was Ken. I know this because they were calling him by his first name. He was in and out of consciousness. His head would lower and then pick back up. His body was fighting for life. I continued to gather information. Sheriff Liberty left to go to the families of the driver to tell them in person he was that kind of guy. No phone calls. He cried with them when he delivered the news. This one was different. He asked that I stay there and update him on Ken's condition as he searched for Ken's wife. So I watched Ken for over 30 minutes, at numerous times locking eyes with him and telling him that we were working to get him out. What I also knew at that time, what Ken was experiencing was crush impact syndrome. The very thing pinning him into the vehicle and impeding his escape was the only thing keeping him alive. Blood was not rushing out of his extensive injuries to his lower limbs. It was held in the upper part of his body. I tell you this because of the irony of it. The very thing that had injured him was keeping him alive. I also knew that when they got him out of this, and they cut him away from the truck, he would virtually have no time to live. So the very thing that people were doing to save him was going to kill him. Sheriff Liberty had gone to Ken's home. He tried to get someone there, no answer. Knowing that Ken had very little time left on this earth, he went through the home, into the door, to find a number for Ken's wife. He was trying to get her for Ken's last moments. Somehow he found her number and called her. She was now racing to get to the scene at the Vassarboro-Augusta line from Waterville, some 20 minutes away. Ken was hanging on. I continued to observe rescue efforts. The top of the truck was missing. The roof, the windshield, driver's door, hood, they were cut off by the rescue efforts. As EMS workers got closer to freeing him, it occurred to me that his time was short. He was sitting in his seat, visible from the chest up. His head continued to fade up and down, and he was alone at that moment. It was at that time a paramedic named MJ climbed onto the truck near the back driver's corner of the bed. She grabbed Ken's hand and held it as he continued to fight for life, fading in and out of consciousness. She pleaded with him to keep fighting. Deputy Day walked to where Sergeant Hatch and I were standing. In some obvious statement of facts in a low, hushed voice, we are literally standing here watching this man die, and we can do nothing about it. A few minutes later, a rush of activity. The ambulance was back very close to the truck. A stretcher was in place to take Ken directly out of the vehicle into a waiting ambulance. A Jaws of Life device was spreading the firewall from the floorboard away from Ken's lower legs. As this was happening, EMS persons were getting ready to pull Ken out and immediately work on him to save his life. I called Sheriff Liberty, told him the news, and he was concerned that Ken's wife was not going to make it to see him alive for the last time. I continued to monitor what was happening. Ken was pulled from the truck into a stretcher that was 15 yards or so away from the back of the ambulance. There was a rush of life-saving activity immediately happening. I watched them secure him to the stretcher, and I could see him as they were wheeling him. I watched as they continued to take his pulse, and they checked on him and got him into the back of the ambulance. As they did so, I saw them start chest compressions. With the release of his lower body, blood volume that was keeping him alive rushed to his injuries that Ken had on his lower body and out of the bloodstream. He was in cardiac arrest because his blood volume had essentially ceased. I do not know if his wife made it to see him. I did not ask after either. I guess I did not want to know the answer to try to save myself from the pain. The pain of that knowledge. That was the last time I saw Ken. There were several minutes of pause by the ambulance, and then it rushed away. There was a pause in the action. Everyone at the scene just stopped for a few minutes to take a breath, process what happened. Many of my employees were sweating profusely. There was a store nearby, and to take a break, I went to the store, which was about 3/4 of a mile from the crash, and I grabbed 2 cases of water and 2 cases of Gatorade, and I returned to the scene and gave it out to them. I watched firefighters attempting to free the other driver, Sean, from the white pickup, and I observed when I first got to the crash scene. Our hearse arrived a short time later. There was not a lot of talking, people just trying to make sense of it. Officers were directing traffic, trying to get one lane clear so we could let traffic through. The road was closed for nearly 4 hours. The accident was reconstructed and debris and other things cleared. I stayed busy and did menial tasks to help. help myself, really. I placed many phone calls and inquiries from the press. One of the quotes in the story, the whole quote that the reporter didn't put in was this: "I just watched a guy die for 45 minutes. It's like a bomb went off. There's so much debris up here." The only thing that made the paper was "there's so much debris up here." Normally, I would never make such a quote. I was experiencing another symptom of PTSD. I had it before the incident. This was just a prolonged exposure with very vivid visuals. I can tell you this story so you can know that one moment in time, one moment being distracted from driving can kill two people, as it did here. In one selfish, can't wait moment, you affected dozens more. Ken was distracted. Post-mortem exams revealed that Ken had no intoxicants, and he experienced no medical problems. He simply was distracted, and it cost him life, his life, and Sean's. For me, I continue to see Ken's face in my dreams. I see him slipping in and out of consciousness, his head moving up slowly and startling back to life, and then slowly slipping back down during his struggle for life. Every time I smell the powder of an airbag, hot oil on the roadway, I see Ken's face. I've amassed what I call the death Rolodex in my head. A face or faces is added every time I go to a scene like this. I beg of you not to be in my dreams. I don't want to have the burden of leadership telling your families you've died. I have so many, each one of them taking a piece of me away and replacing it with a painful memory. I want each of you to put yourselves in my shoes and think about what you'd say to the family as you're telling them a loved one had died. All of you, close your eyes right now. Close your eyes and visualize this and think about what you'd say. I want you to feel the stress and anxiety and loss of words as someone crumbles at your feet, begging you not to be the bearer of the worst news of their life. This is what I want you to carry with you as you leave here. One moment, 1 second, one text, one split second away from changing the lives of dozens of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Reardon. I would like to also say, Mrs. Weber here, and Mrs. Bucher, where is she? Is she here? Come on up if you're here. Mrs. Bucher, you're here? Okay. They have been also the people that helped plan this. You see them today. Thank them for what they've done. An immense amount of work. I couldn't have done it without them. Positive Action and Key Club kind of co-sponsored this event. So it's, again, a lot of work. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Weber now. I think there's something.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. And there has been a lot that goes into this, but I know for me it's been very powerful, and I thank all of you for everything, the teachers, the support, and everyone from the Positive Action team and the Key Club that participated. And thank you, Chief Reardon. Thank you for that. Right now, I want to call up Cameron Fatalities. He's going to speak a little bit about his experience.
When I was first introduced to the Every 15 Minutes program, I thought it would just be a small event that our school would put on just for kicks and giggles. As time went on, I've realized that this program is much more. I was chosen to portray the role of the accident victim, as many of you probably know by now. When I got into the car, it felt very real. Having to get inside the body bag and being transferred to the funeral home felt very real. Every single aspect of this experience felt real. These past couple days, I got to feel like I was gone without really being gone, if that makes any sense. I read my own obituary, I saw my friends and family mourn my death, and I even listened to my own funeral. It was like I had really died. After watching every one of my friends and family members beside themselves because of my death, I thought to myself multiple times, what if this was real? What if I actually had been dead right now? It would be terrible. This experience has made it very clear to me why being in a car with a distracted or intoxicated driver, or driving intoxicated myself, could ruin my life, a friend's life, a family member's life, or even a random innocent person's life. I hope this experience has impacted everyone in this gym like it has me, because this is a very real thing. This was only a mock accident, but this happens every single day. Every 15 minutes, someone dies from an alcohol-related collision. So please stay safe on the roads and always remember this experience and the dangers of alcohol and driving. Thank you.